The movie starts with Tae-sik, the protagonist. He was just released from 10 years of imprisonment and is now heading towards his hometown. He writes down some notes while he travels, and he makes a list of things he wants to do once he settles as a free man. He promises himself to leave his old lifestyle behind and embrace a peaceful new life. He goes to a diner called Sunflower to meet a woman who owns it, who's actually his adoptive mother. However, she's not there at the moment, so her daughter, Hee-ju, asks Tae-sik to go to the public bathhouse and come back later. Tae-sik goes to the bathhouse and crosses off more items from his list. At the bathhouse, Tae-sik struggles with the locker and gets caught up playing with the automatic lock, annoying another man in the room. The man rudely asks Tae-sik to quiet down. Because of his appearance, Tae-sik is also bullied by the guard. However, when Tae-sik undresses, the man sees his tattoos and realizes he might be a gangster. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, a group of gangsters led by Chung-moo and Young-ki are seen bullying a girl, while two police officers nearby ignore the situation. Tae-sik meets Chung-moo, an old friend and gangster leader, at a nightclub. Chung-moo respects Tae-sik, indicating that Tae-sik is not an ordinary person, as gangster leaders like Chung-moo usually look down on others. It's revealed that Tae-sik used to be a respected gangster in the city. Young-ki also seems reluctant when Tae-sik visits him, and he orders his men to keep an eye on Tae-sik. After reconnecting with some old friends, Tae-sik finally returns to the Sunflower restaurant and reunites with his adoptive mother, who's overjoyed to see him released from prison. She truly loves Tae-sik as her own child, even though he is adopted. Tae-sik apologizes to his mother for his past actions, and she forgives him. However, Hee-ju doesn't accept Tae-sik and openly dislikes him because of his appearance. That night, Tae-sik goes to bed determined to change his ways. The next day, a man named Jo Pon-soo, who's running for a government office, campaigns in the market, making false promises to gain votes. However, Pan-soo is actually a mafia member planning to take control of the city. At the police station, Tae-sik signs a parole report and is advised by an officer named Min-suk to leave the city because the residents don't want him there due to his past incidents. Tae-sik tries to convince Min-suk that he's changed and wants to become a better person. He even plans to remove his tattoos as a symbol of his commitment. However, Tae-sik realizes it'll be too expensive to remove all of his tattoos. Tae-sik's adoptive mother confronts Pon-soo, rejecting his plan to buy her restaurant for his own gain. She warns him that she'll fight back if his men continue to cause trouble at her restaurant. That night, Tae-sik and Hee-ju meet at the terrace, and she shows him around without knowing about his past as a gangster. The next day, Tae-sik starts working as a mechanic at an auto repair shop. Two police officers, including Min-suk, see Tae-sik working diligently and discuss his troubled past. Chung-moo and Young-ki used to be under a gang leader named Choi Do-pil. However, Tae-sik was so formidable that he eventually killed Do-pil and went to prison. Chung-moo and Young-ki then tried to take his place, and Pon-soo used their rivalry to further his political ambitions. Currently, the gangsters work for Pon-soo and compete for leadership. Min-suk and his partner visit the workshop where Tae-sik works and informs their superiors about Tae-sik's past. But his employer doesn't care as long as Tae-sik continues to work well. The next day, Tae-sik visits Hee-ju's English course. One of the teachers recognizes Tae-sik from their school days, and they chat casually. Afterwards, Tae-sik grabs street food with Hee-ju, but on their way home, they're attacked by a thug named Sung-jin, who is jealous of Tae-sik's closeness to Hee-ju. Sung-jin takes Tae-sik to a nearby warehouse and beats him up. Despite his determination not to fight, Tae-sik refuses to retaliate. However, Sung-jin and his group are shocked when they discover Tae-sik's tattoos after tearing his clothes off. After the incident, Hee-ju's attitude towards Tae-sik softens slightly. She feels sorry for his suffering and applies ointment to his wound, realizing the impact her actions had on him. Elsewhere, Pon-soo celebrates his victory in the general election, securing the most votes. Now, as a government official, Pon-soo plans to hand over the leadership of the city's largest nightclub to his trusted henchmen. Chung-moo and Young-ki eagerly compete to gain Pon-soo's trust. However, before they can claim the position, Pon-soo sets a condition. Whoever removes the Sunflower restaurant will have the opportunity. The next day, Chung-moo orders his men to destroy the Sunflower restaurant, hoping to force the owner to sell the property to Pon-soo. As the men start tearing the restaurant apart, they unexpectedly encounter Tae-sik sitting there. Chung-moo quickly orders his men to leave, realizing Tae-sik's presence. He apologizes to Tae-sik for his unawareness. Tae-sik, for the first time, loses his composure and confronts Chung-moo, questioning his intentions. Tae-sik's mother appears and intervenes, forcing the thugs to leave. Tae-sik tries to discuss the incident with his mother, but she dismisses the conversation. Chongmu and Young-ki meet the following day and decide to work together to remove Tae-sik from the town. Meanwhile, Tae-sik enjoys his new life without crime, helping Hee-ju with her high school math and expressing his desire to attend college in the upcoming year. Hee-ju realizes Tae-sik's exceptional academic skills as he effortlessly solves complex math equations. At night, Tae-sik, having received his first salary from working at an auto repair shop, presents his mother with a pair of shoes and gives Hee-ju a camera as a gift. Initially, Hee-ju refuses the camera, but later in the evening, she hands Tae-sik a cup of tea and looks at him expectantly. Tae-sik gives her the camera and she walks away happily. Tae-sik then crosses off "buy gifts" from his notebook, which contains a record of Tae-sik's activities in prison and his plans for after his release. Hee-ju accidentally discovers the notebook and reads it. She adds going on a picnic as one of Tae-sik's desired activities after leaving prison. Tae-sik, Hee-ju, and their mother go on a picnic, capturing happy moments together like a close-knit family. One night, Tae-sik encounters his old friend, Byung-jin, who is revealed to be Ponsu's driver. Byung-jin informs Tae-sik about Ponsu's plan to construct a large mall in the area, but the Sunflower Restaurant's refusal to sell its land obstructs his plans. Byung-jin advises Tae-sik to be cautious because Ponsu is a dangerous man. Unbeknownst to them, Chongmu's men witness their serious conversation and report it to Chongmu. Hearing this, Chongmu and Young-ki suspect that Byung-jin is attempting to recruit Tae-sik on Ponsu's orders. They devise a plan to destroy the Sunflower Restaurant and eliminate Tae-sik. The next day, Chongmu and his men rampage through the Sunflower Restaurant, threatening Tae-sik's mother to force her to sell to Ponsu. Hee-ju, who just returned home from school, strikes Chongmu with the camera Tae-sik gave her. Although she's apprehended, she quickly reports the incident to Tae-sik. When Tae-sik and Hee-ju arrive at the Sunflower Restaurant, Chongmu and his crew have already departed, leaving Tae-sik's mother overwhelmed with the task of cleaning up the devastated establishment. Tae-sik assists his mother in restoring order before approaching Chongmu to request a meeting with Ponsu. During their meeting, Tae-sik pleads with Ponsu to leave the Sunflower Restaurant alone. Aware of Tae-sik's past as a gangster, Ponsu offers him a job, which Tae-sik politely declines, content with his current occupation. Humiliated by Tae-sik's refusal, Ponsu devises a plan to frame Tae-sik and send him back to prison. He orders his men to attack the auto repair shop where Tae-sik works, hoping to provoke a fight and report it to the police. The next day, the thugs stormed to the auto repair shop and assaulted Tae-sik, even attacking his employer. Simultaneously, Ponsu reports to the police, implicating Tae-sik in the riot. However, Tae-sik manages to control himself and refrains from retaliating, thwarting Ponsu's plan. One night, Sung-jin visits the Sunflower Restaurant and reveals to Hee-ju that Tae-sik was responsible for her older brother, Do-pil's death 3 years ago. Shocked and angry at Tae-sik, Hee-ju demands an explanation from her mother as to why she adopted someone who killed her own biological son. Tae-sik's mother explains that Tae-sik apologized sincerely, kneeling and shedding tears after the incident. Convinced that Tae-sik was not a bad person, she forgave him and welcomed him into their family. Hee-ju finally comprehends her mother's perspective. Tae-sik apologizes to Hee-ju for killing Do-pil and expresses his intention to leave their house. However, Hee-ju implores him to stay, expressing gratitude towards him for eliminating her abusive brother. The next day, Tae-sik's mother confronts Ponsu, threatening to expose his involvement in Do-pil's murder with concrete evidence that could lead to his imprisonment. It's revealed that Ponsu had ordered Do-pil to kill Tae-sik, resulting in a fight that led to Do-pil's death and Tae-sik's imprisonment. If the media discovers the evidence, Ponsu's reputation will be tarnished. Consequently, Tae-sik's mother blackmails Ponsu into leaving her family alone. However, Ponsu is not one to back down and decides to eliminate her once and for all. Ponsu initiates his plan by ordering his men to attack Hee-ju while crossing the street, utilizing Sun-jin, who has now joined Ponsu's team. Tae-sik and his mother rush to the hospital upon hearing of Hee-ju's plight, only to find her unconscious with a swollen face. Overwhelmed, Tae-sik's mother decides to sell the Sunflower Restaurant to Ponsu for the sake of her family's safety. Afterwards, Tae-sik approaches Ponsu and informs him that his mother has agreed to sell the Sunflower Restaurant, and they plan to move away. Unexpectedly, Ponsu requests that Tae-sik's right hand be paralyzed, ensuring he can no longer engage in fighting. Byung-jin is tasked with cutting the vein in Tae-sik's right hand. However, Byung-jin only manages to injure Tae-sik's right hand with a non-fatal cut, allowing Tae-sik to continue using his hand as usual. Tae-sik then assures Hee-ju that he will protect her and her mother forever. Despite the Sunflower restaurant now being under his ownership, Pon-soo still aims to eliminate Tae-sik's adoptive mother. He instructs Young-ki to kill her and remove the evidence of his involvement in a past attempt on Tae-sik's life. Young-ki carries out the order by strangling Tae-sik's adoptive mother and staging her death as a suicide. Tae-sik then returns home to the devastating sight of his mother's lifeless body, leading to overwhelming grief. As Hee-ju remains in the hospital, Tae-sik is left to handle the funeral alone. In the following days, the restaurant is destroyed, and the land is taken. Upon finding an earring in his mother's room, Tae-sik realizes that the gangsters were responsible for her death. Unable to keep his promise, Tae-sik turns to alcohol to cope with the immense sadness over his beloved mother's passing. Meanwhile, Pon-soo and his associates celebrate their success in acquiring the Sunflower restaurant and advancing their plans for a mall and an elite area. However, they are confronted by a furious Tae-sik, who crashes the celebration and demands to know who harmed Hee-ju. The culprit steps forward and Tae-sik orders Byung-shin to leave, sparing his life. Tae-sik then takes matters into his own hands, eliminating everyone who obstructs his path. Despite sustaining severe injuries, he manages to kill most of Pon-soo's men, ultimately strangling Chung-moo and Young-ki to avenge his mother's death. He finally confronts and kills Pon-soo, setting the nightclub ablaze. In a state of severe injury amidst the blazing fire, Tae-sik recalls fond memories with his mother and Hee-ju before eventually succumbing to the flames. The film concludes by portraying Hee-ju several years later, having recovered from her injuries and thriving. She reminisces about the cherished moments with her mother and Tae-sik, and like Tae-sik used to, she writes her life goals in his notebook.